As-salamu Alaykum. Hello kids, how are you today? Inshallah, today I am going to tell you the story of one of the most important prophets in Islam, Prophet Ibrahim alaihsalaam. Prophet Ibrahim alaihsalaam plays a very important role in Islam. He is a role model for Muslims as he fulfilled all the commandments and trials that God gave to him. Are you ready for today's story? Let us begin. Bismillah. The story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Many years ago, there lived a boy called Ibrahim alayhi salam in Canaan. He was very clever and asked way too many questions. He lived during a time when people worshipped the idols. The people had forgotten the messages that previous prophets had taught them. Instead of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people were now worshipping the idols made of wood and stone. Ibrahim's father was a sculptor who used to sculpt these idols. His father didn't worship Allah either. As a child, Ibrahim used to sit and watch his father make the idols using stones. Even as a child, Ibrahim knew there was something wrong in worshipping these idols. When he saw these statues being worshipped in temples, he got confused. He wondered why the people were prostrating before these stone idols which his father made. One day, he decided to ask his father, "Why are the people worshipping these toys that you are making yourself? Why are the people worshipping these toys that you are making yourself?" "They represent our gods," his father replied. "We should worship them to get favors from them." "Who is he?" the prophet asked, pointing at the idol his father was making. "This statue is the god of gods, the Mardukh," he replied. Little Ibrahim couldn't control his laughter when he heard this. As time went by, Ibrahim grew with knowledge and wisdom. He knew that worshipping the idols was wrong, but he didn't know who the true God was. One day, Ibrahim left his home in search of Allah, the true God. He walked for a very long time, and finally he reached on top of a mountain. He sat near a cave for a very long time, and when he looked up, he saw a shining star. He kept wondering if this star could be the God he was searching for. But the star disappeared after some time. "True God will never set or disappear," he said to himself. After a while, the moon came up. It was a delight to watch the moon in that dark night. So, Ibrahim wondered if the moon could be the true God. He sat there, gazing at the moon for a long time. But after a few hours, when the moon disappeared from the horizon, he realized that moon was not the God. Ibrahim was disappointed, but he continued to sit there on top of the mountain, watching the horizon. When it was morning, the sun came up. He looked at the sun and wondered again if this could be the God, as it was bigger and gave light. But when the sun disappeared in the evening, he realized that it was not Allah, as the true God would never set. Then, a sudden revelation happened to him. He realized that true God cannot be created. He understood that Allah is the creator of everything, even the sun, the moon, and the stars. He knew that Allah had just guided him to the truth. It was then that he realized that Allah had chosen him to be a prophet. The prophet led a new life from that day. He met his father and told him about his revelation, but his father was not very pleased. "How dare you reject my gods?" he asked angrily. "The people will stone you if they hear you talking like this," his father shouted at him. The Prophet tried to reason with him many times, but his father rejected his pleas. Ibrahim alaihsalaam was asked to leave the house immediately for speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet warned his father about Allah's punishment if he doesn't repent, but his father ignored him. The Prophet was very sad, and he was forced to leave his house. Hardly did he knew that it was just the beginning of his trials. Ibrahim alayhi salam knew that his mission was to call people back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He traveled to nearby towns and preached about Allah. He spoke to the people about the true God and warned them of the consequences of idol worship. Allah is the one and only true God. There is no other God but Allah. There is nobody worthy of worship except Him. Do not bow down before the idols anymore, he shouted to the people. The people who heard this were very angry. They asked him to go away. It was the night of celebrations in the city, and all the people were gathered at the riverbanks. It was then that the Prophet had an idea to prove to the people that the idols had no power. He took an axe and walked towards the temple. He entered the temple and smashed all the idols present there. He smashed everything except for the biggest one. He hung his axe around the neck of this idol and left the temple. When the people came to worship at the temple the next day, they were shocked. They saw that all their idols were smashed into pieces. They wondered who could have done this. It was then that one of them spoke up. "I'm sure this was done by Ibrahim. He was speaking against our gods yesterday," he said. The people found Prophet Ibrahim and brought him to the temple. "Are you the one who has done this to our gods?" they asked. Ibrahim was not afraid, and he replied casually, "Why don't you ask this idol?" he said, pointing at the biggest statue that was still standing. "He must have seen the one who smashed your idols. He will tell you if he can speak," he said mockingly. "How would the idols speak? They are made of stone," they asked him. "Then why do you worship these idols who cannot speak, nor do they see or hear? You know this, and you still worship them? Have you lost your minds?" Some of them realized that Ibrahim was saying the truth, but others were still very angry with him. "Punish him!" they shouted. They wanted to take revenge for shattering the idols. They tied him in chains and gathered around to discuss how they were going to punish the Prophet. "Let's burn him in fire," one of them said. "Let's build the biggest fire anyone has ever seen and throw him into it." Everyone thought it was a great idea. The people of Babylon then set out to make the largest fire anyone ever saw. They wanted to make an example out of the Prophet to show everyone what they would do to those who disrespected their gods. First, they dug a huge pit to put the firewood. Then, they collected wood from everywhere possible and put those in the pit. They kept adding the wood for many days until it became as huge as a hill. And one day, they lighted the fire. And there it was, a huge fire reaching the skies. It is said that no one could go near because of the heat. Not even the birds could fly above the fire. The next day, they brought the Prophet for throwing him in the fire. But there was a problem. No one was able to reach anywhere near the fire because of the heat. How were they going to put the Prophet in the fire? They discussed about this new issue among them. "Let us use a catapult to throw him in the fire," said one of them. Everyone agreed it was a good idea, and they started making a catapult. Once it was made, they tied the hands and legs of the Prophet and placed him on the catapult. When they cut the strings, the Prophet was thrown in the air, towards the fire. While in the air, an angel appeared before Ibrahim and asked if he had any wish to be granted. The Prophet could have easily sought help of this angel to escape punishment, but he did not. Instead, he said, "I only wish for Allah to be pleased with me." But a miracle happened when the Prophet landed in the fire. The fire didn't burn the Prophet, and it burned only the ropes that tied him. The Prophet didn't feel any heat at all. The Prophet sat there in the fire and started singing praises of Allah. The people thought the fire would have burned the Prophet, and they waited there for the fire to subside. And when the fire went out finally, the people were shocked to see the Prophet sitting unharmed. The Prophet walked out of the fire without a single burn in his body. "It is a miracle!" some shouted. "His God has saved him!" shouted the others. Maybe he was saying the truth. Some of the men there realized that there was something divine about the Prophet. But most of them were still angry because he had smashed their idols. They bound him in chains and took him to the king's palace. Do you want to know what happened to the Prophet at the palace? Watch the next episode to learn more. There are more stories of Prophet Ibrahim alaihsalaam waiting for you in the next episode. Keep watching our channel. If you liked the video, don't forget to click that subscribe button and stay updated on all our videos. Please tell your friends about our channel as well. That's all for today. Goodbye!